Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only Turbo coin. My setup is still not 100% intact, but good enough to record a video. Videos for today won't have any face cam or anything, but tomorrow we will have it back. Listen, big shout out to Uber Eats for sponsoring this video. First 50 people get $20 off their first 2 meals, which means you can literally eat for free. Just use the code on your screen or the link in the description below. I am super excited to talk about Turbo, the crypto markets, and just everything in general, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just jump right into it. So we can see, first of all, no new massive news from Turbo themselves, which is fine. We talk about it, but they have created a couple of posts which I will be liking because, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta support the community. This is all community driven. There's literally no official team members, no this, no that. So which is why also investors love this project. Okay, I've talked about it before a little bit, but I'll talk about it again. Investors love the fact that this coin doesn't have anyone tied to it that can just rug pull, that can just pull off some BS. There's no emotional owner, this or that behind it. It's just a driven community coin. Okay, that's it. That is it. That is the most beautiful thing. So when people know, it's like, okay, green flag here, green flag there, green flag this, the risk is very minimal, right? Or non-existent, especially in terms of dealing with someone with a lot of a big bag, like 20% of the coins or this or that. Investors love to see that, which is why we saw Coinbase, Binance, and a few other institutions and exchanges accumulate Turbo when Turbo was all the way back down here. Okay, we talked about it, we covered it back then, that exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, and other people were buying around this area, and their wallets were increasing the amount of holdings they had. So we talked about it. It was a great time to be buying. We said follow the money, right? And just in general, following the money, right? Because even if you miss this price, getting in Turbo overall means you're following the money. Because this chart looks huge, but you got to remember, at one point, people, listen, this was a chart, and when things were zoomed out, we're like, oh yeah, things can go up. People were just like, oh, that's huge. But then you got to remember, at one point, this was the main chart. People didn't expect this to happen. Not as big, but still a pump. And then remember, it was like this, right? It was like this. It was literally what I call in hell. This was when the markets were literally the lowest of the low, right? And then when people thought, this coin is going to go higher, I'm sure a lot of people were like, nah, this is too high, right? There's no way this coin can go from here to here, pumping a very quick 6x in just a couple of days. But guess what? It did, because it's Turbo. Turbo is inevitable, okay? It's like Thanos from Avengers, except Thanos wins this time. There is no Iron Man to screw us over, okay? There is no Iron Man to screw us over. This coin is inevitable, all right? Anyways, let's talk about first, we're going to talk about some of the basic stuff we go over, right? Very, very important. 377 million market cap with 78 million volume. So pretty nice, solid volume. The markets haven't been too crazy. They've kind of just been going more sideways, a little bit down, but like kind of sideways down. Nothing too crazy though. Okay, nothing too crazy, right? If we go and look at the holders, ladies and gentlemen, I believe last time we were at 54,700 something, right? So let's see if we grew in holders. Look, yeah, we are growing. We are growing despite price kind of moving sideways and downwards, which is good, right? We're going about 50 holders a day, which is very, very solid, right? And think about it, once it goes green, we'll go up a couple hundred again, right? We are almost at 55,000 holders. And I would not be surprised if we hit 55,000 holders by Sunday. Okay, I would not be surprised, especially if we see a little pump. But we'll discuss that right now. So let's see, right? Turbo went into our first box. Great time to be buying, right? Great time to be dollar cost averaging. Remember, when you buy in these positions, you don't always have to put all your money in. You can, right? You can, but you don't have to. So look, I'll explain how I like to dollar cost average, and maybe you guys, can tell me if it's something similar you guys do or a little bit different. So if I have multiple levels of buying, right? Let's say I have this green box, right? This green box over here. Let's say I put in $100, right? So $100 here. If we cross the yellow line, right, which would be boom, a nice 16% discount, I probably would put like $300. Okay. And if we would go down all the way here to a very key fundamental level, this box over here, down here, where my mouse is going in a circle at 0.0035, then I would probably put like 500, $550. Okay. That is just the way I do it. I get more aggressive the lower the price goes, and depending on the structure. Okay. So if I really like the structure, if I really like the context of the market, if I really believe that this is just a good opportunity to be getting a discount, then I will be playing aggressive. Okay. You have to remember, right? You have to remember that strategy does not always work. Dollar cost averaging does not always work if the context is bear season. Let's say, right, in a different world, this, ladies and gentlemen, was the tops, right? This was altcoin season tops. Okay. If you were buying the dips here, 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 right? Down, maybe down here, here, here. This, the lower you get at this point is better. But these over here these positions would suffer a lot, okay? Because you would get wrecked, because the context of the bear season is that it just goes down and down. When we're practically in a bull season and altcoin season, just put them together, it just keeps going up, right? When it dips, every time it dips, it goes higher, we can see. But then the markets eventually have to top out. They usually go a little bit sideways. Doesn't always have to happen, but they usually go sideways, right? Which shows, okay, momentum shift. And then once they start going down, right? If you keep buying the dip, you gotta realize that it just keeps dipping further and further. And you gotta realize, Turbo went down within like what 2 months a lot, and it recovered very nicely within like a month and a half. That wouldn't happen with bear season. You're waiting years and years and years. So yeah, just putting it out there for the dollar cost strategy, just in case someone does want to copy and paste the method, right? But yeah, anyways, back to the analysis itself. We actually will remove all of this. So yeah, we can see, boom, it hit our first zone. But look, overall, I do expect this coin to be pulling down a little bit. I mean, we are just kind of going sideways. So we are changing momentum. We went from up, going slowly up diagonally, now to pretty much sideways and diagonally down just a little bit. I would be very, very surprised if we do not break out of the zone. As of right now, there is no big confirmation that we will break from the zone, right? We might liquidity sweep, right? Like I said, I think the worst case most likely would be sweeping the 0.0042, right? This zone down here. But overall, it is looking fairly good. And the reason why it's looking fairly good, ladies and gentlemen, is because if we go to something like Bitcoin, Bitcoin is holding its price. But here's the thing with Bitcoin. It is kind of forming a doji-like candle, okay, for the weekly. Now, we still have a couple days left. We still have the rest of Friday, and then we still have Saturday and Sunday. So things can change. Now, this doesn't mean 100% that this is a reversal sign just yet, because honestly, there's no real indication that it's going to reverse. Okay, there is no real indication that's going to reverse. The momentum definitely slowed down, right? Momentum definitely slowed down. We could just see we are mainly ranging, let's just say between 100 and 2K, and we're mainly ranging between 102 and let's just say upwards of 105. Okay, so we are just ranging here. But when it comes to daily candles, right, the closings are looking pretty good. But like I said, we have to see how the rest of the days close, right? Usually when there's this type of candle, there's going to be some type of pullback. I don't expect it to be a full-on pullback, maybe a liquidity sweep of 100 and $100,000, which means, like I said, Turbo would drop a little bit more, which is fine, All of this is the micro moves, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Remember, all of this is things you're looking at this smaller time frame. This should not matter too much unless you're looking to be adding in positions, or if you're a leverage trader, right? If you're a leverage trader, you might want to be a little patient, maybe, get in, certain positions. because leverage trading is riskier. If you don't know what leverage trading is, it's pretty much imagine saying I am going to bet that from this yellow price, right, it's going to go up. But if it comes back down to the bottom of this gray box, right, the bottom of this gray box, I am out. So if I put in $100 here, if I put in $100 here and it went below this, my $100 is gone. Okay. If I put in $100, if I bought Turbo and I put $100 at the yellow line, but then it went down, right, of 10%. I'm down 10%. I'm at $90, but I still have my money. With leverage trading, you don't. So the micro moves, you shouldn't worry too much. Overall, it is looking fantastic. Look, let's talk about the bigger moves, right? I believe once we kind of just get out of this zone, ladies and gentlemen, 0.008 is going to be inevitable, okay? Right now, we're got a little bit of sell-off, consolidation, whatever. Markets have to do what they have to do. But the next big relevant zone is going to be around the 0.008. Now, we're going to start entering the zone a little bit earlier at 0.007475, but usually it doesn't just tap the bottom of the zone and go down. It usually goes a little bit higher, especially if there's imbalance, okay? So I expect, a very, very nice pump, which is why, buying overall here, especially if you get like 0.0045, 0.004, all right, it's going to be good because let's say we come from here to up here, you're going to be up 80% on your dollar cost averaging positions, right? That's going to be really good. We go to all-time highs, 230%, you're up 3.3 times. But yeah, look, overall in the bigger picture, this is the next zone, 0.008. And then after that, practically all-time highs, okay? Without worrying too much on the micro moves, all-time highs. So we're really not that far away from going back to all-time highs, okay? You need to just understand that the markets generally, if you focus on the bigger pictures, they move from point A to point Z, right? We did what we have to do. We broke out of hell. We broke out of hell. This was hell because we're below this big support, which was now turning into resistance, but then we broke out of it. We're kind of consolidating. Next zone is the big resistance. We have to break through it, right? We break through it. We respect it. The next big main area is all-time highs. After that, of course, is going sideways and eventually bursting up. I believe this coin is going to move like Pepe when Pepe started to burst up, right? It was a crazy week for Pepe. Months ago at this point. But if we go to all, right, Pepe was just chilling. It was just chilling. If we go to market cap, right, it was chilling at roughly our type of market cap, right? And next thing you know, we were just in the billions. Okay. So that is what I believe will happen with Turbo. So yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.